Hello everybody. In this episode I'm going to be going over screenplay structure and how you structure a screenplay in proper screenplay format. And for this I'm going to be using the software Celtics, the desktop software that's available. You kind of have to search for it online. It is kind of found on Celtics' website, Celtics.com, but they kind of encourage people using the studio version or using the online version, so it's kind of difficult to find. But if you do a Google search on it for download, you should be able to find it for your PC and Mac. In fact, the quick Google search brings up this website here, screenplayreaders.com/Celtics. Look up there. And now you can scroll, and if you scroll down to the bottom of that page right there, it has the most recent software for Mac and for PC. So you can download those, install them, and you'll have this free software. Everything that I'm going to be going over here is also very useful for something like if you've purchased Final Draft or you subscribe to Final Draft, or even writerduet.com if you're writing online on writerduet.com. First of all, screenplay page properties. Screenplays are formatted on an 8.5 by 11 white paper, especially when you print it out, and it shows up as such when you print them to PDF these days. A page number appears up in the right-hand corner of the sheet. No page number is ever printed on the first page because it's implied that is the first page, so you don't need to. It's a bit redundant. The type style that is used is Courier 12 font, and Courier 12 is used for timing purposes. You've heard, many people have heard about the 1 minute per page. So if you have like a 120-page screenplay, it is going to be about a 2-hour movie. If you have a 90-page screenplay, it's going to be about an hour and a half. If you use the proper screenwriting program, if you use a proper screenwriting program like Celtics or Final Draft, then it is going to do that formatting for you, and you don't have to worry about it. These are the major elements that you will see on any screenplay. The first four are kind of the main ones here that you'll see that are the most common: scene heading, action or description, character name, and dialogue. And then there are other things like parentheticals, extensions, transitions, and shots. And some of these aren't usually added by the actual writer as much as, especially like shot is added later on when they're doing a shooting script and the director takes a hold of the script. But these are the most four common right up here. And probably next in line is going to be parentheticals. They're going to be like parentheses. So let's talk about scene heading, the first one. Scene heading, written in all caps, period after interior, exterior. We're going to talk about what this is and what it means. Hyphen between the elements of a select line and time of day. Let's show an example here. This basically shows, here is an example from the movie Moon, from the screenplay Moon. But you see up here, this was an actual shooting script. You can see that they were doing scene numbering here, getting the script broken down ready for shooting. You usually don't, as a screenwriter, you usually don't see this here. This is kind of one of the last things added. But this is your scene heading right here. And scene headings happen on every scene change. And a scene change happens when you change location or change time. Those are the two basic things that will cause a scene heading, a new scene heading. And here this shows a location. It shows, first of all, right here, either INT period or EXT period, interior or exterior. So it's either inside or outside. And then next you have the location here. You have interior, rec room. Sometimes you'll just see one hyphen here, or two hyphens is also common as well. But typically you'll see one hyphen here, and then it has usually day or night. In this instance it says morning. So interior, rec room, morning is our scene heading. Next in line, action. Action, or it's also commonly referred to as description, action or description. Action runs from left to right margin, of course, the full width of the text on the page. Text is single-spaced. First time within action or description, when you introduce a character for the first time, that character's name is in all caps. And this is what basically action or description does. It sets the scene, it describes the setting, introduces characters, and describes the action, everything that's happening. And usually in that order too. When you start a new scene, after the scene heading, you will usually, in this order, set the scene, you describe the setting, you introduce characters that are present, and then you describe the action. Usually in that order. Now, action or description is written in real time. It's written in present tense. So let's go back to the script that we had before from Moon, and let's take a look at it. This is action or description down here. First of all, if we're reading this, notice it is taking place right now. Saying Gertie is in 3 sections and moves along. This is not like a book where it says Gertie was in 3 sections and moved along a horizontal rail. This is all in the present tense. It's happening and unfolding before our eyes. So if you look up here, we'll notice it's describing, the setting has already been kind of set in an earlier scene where they described the setting, but you notice up here it is describing the Gertie 3000. First time Gertie has been introduced. A state-of-the-art robot, a Gertie 3000, known simply as Gertie. There we're introducing the character name. As the character speaks later on, we're going to refer to this to the robot as Gertie, because Gertie speaks. Gertie has dialogue. is preparing Sam's breakfast. Gertie is in 3 sections and moves along a horizontal rail that runs throughout the base. He has a readout screen that perpetually spews data. His hands resemble pincers, but are perfectly nimble. So here we are describing the character. We're doing a basic description of the setting and the character here. For the purposes of helping run the base and looking after Sam 1, Gertie is as good as human, if not better. Now, Sam 1 has already been introduced. That's why it's no longer in caps. You introduce the character one time in all caps, and then from then on, it's just regular pronouns here. Sam with a capital on the beginning here, and that's it. But notice the first time Gertie's introduced, all caps. The second time after that, Gertie is just a capital. The first letter is capitalized, and that's it, as a proper noun would be. Next, character name. It's indented 3.5 inches from the left margin. Character's name is in all caps. And this tells us who is speaking during dialogue. It can be a name, it can be something like John, or it can be a description like Fat Man or Cop number 1, Cop number 2. But this tells us who is speaking. And in some instances, who is thinking. If we hear the voice out loud within the movie of somebody's thoughts, it'll also be the name of the person who is thinking, and when we can hear what they're saying out loud. Here's an example. And notice this says the POV swings around and moves to the kitchen door. This is a shooting script here. This is one where the director has added camera movements. Usually the screenwriter does not add any camera movements at all, unless they're going to be the ones directing and producing the movie themselves. But usually a screenwriter will not write any camera direction, will describe all the visuals without doing camera direction, and kind of implies that, and then the director decides, and the director of photography will decide what shots go into the film and how they're going to shoot that scene that's been written. But here we have our character right there, boyfriend. I gotta go. So dialogue right there. Sister, will you call me tomorrow? Boyfriend, yeah, sure. This is really exciting dialogue, by the way. Sister, promise? Boyfriend, yeah. But these here are the character names. And once again, it can be either the character name, or usually if that person's just there for the scene, sometimes they won't have a name. They'll just have a description like this, boyfriend or sister, instead of the actual name of the character. Dialogue is next. Dialogue is indented 2.5 inches from the left margin, as we just saw in the previous screen there. And this is basically what the character is saying, thinking, if it's voiceover or if it's off screen. Meaning if somebody's outside the room and you hear them yelling outside the room and we don't see their faces, that is off screen. Voiceover is usually narration, and oftentimes if it's on a phone and we don't see them, but we hear it playing through the phone. Here's the instance. Here's that previous slide again. We've got the boyfriend. So this is our character. This is dialogue. Character, dialogue, and so on. Parentheses or parenthetical. Oftentimes this is used as an attitude, a verbal direction, or action direction for the actor, which is a little bit more rare, once again, unless it's a shooting script done by the director. And one suggestion with parentheses: be short and to the point with these. It's usually just 1 to 2 words at the most. Use only one. If it has more than 1 or 2 words, it probably belongs in the description or action, and only use this when necessary. It's used for action while speaking. And it's also used for continues, which is something a little bit different. I'll go over later. This is where the script is broken down and printed out for that they're called element scripts. They're basically brought to set. They show if one scene continues to the next page or if dialogue continues to the next page. So while they're shooting, there's no confusion as to how many pages they're shooting. If there's continues on it means there's another page. If there's a continued on it can mean that there's more dialogue onto another page. Here's some parentheses used in the screenplay Moon. So Sam is recording a message here, and he's speaking into the mic. He's saying, Sam Bell reporting to Central, 10:14 Pacific time, and then suddenly he becomes less formal. Notice how the parentheses fit in there. He keeps on talking. Overmyers, Thompson, how goes it? So now he's kind of being friendly with them. Feigning laugh, oh really, that's terrible, and so on. Then you'll notice another parenthetical down here, back to work. So it's just giving some basic actions. Notice these are just like 2 words. No, well, I guess 3 right there, but they're very, very short. They're very quick and to the point. We'll show you some examples of extensions. Extensions are usually something like OS. They're right next to the character name. Off-screen or voiceover are 2 extensions used with characters, and they're positioned right off the side of characters' names, and I'll show you an example of this coming up. Transitions. These are very rarely used by the actual screenwriter, unless the screenwriter is directing the movie. Transitions, cut to, dissolve to, fade to. These are basically instructions for the editor, once again, which is a director decision, not a screenwriting decision. Fade out. One of the common things that screenwriters say is don't ever use fade out at the end of the script. That's implied. It's unnecessary. It's redundant. And once again, the director is going to decide whether they fade out or cut to black at the end or how they're going to end it. And once again, don't use unless absolutely necessary. Because once again, these are used mainly by, I keep saying this, by the director when they're shooting the film or when they're doing post-production. And shots, this is used specifically during a shooting script. Once the script's been finished, it's right when it's going into pre-production, the director will start planning things and grab the script and go through and make notes on it, especially when they want very specific camera moves and different camera shots. They will add a few of these throughout the script. Angle on, extreme close-up, pan to, dolly in, things like that. A couple other little features that you will see in screenplays is a montage or series of shots, and we'll go over that as well. And those are all the basic elements you need to know about for basic screenwriting here. The next episode, I'm going to be covering Celtics and showing how to actually write a script inside of Celtics. If you're interested in seeing the rest of my screenwriting modules that I'm doing right now, you can visit youtube.com/chinfat, and that'll take you to my page here. On my page, if you go under playlists, you'll find the screenwriting playlist, and you can click on that and look at the rest. Right now it says no videos because this is before I'm uploading, so yes, just go to the screenwriting playlist and you'll find all the modules that I keep putting on screenwriting there, and you can watch them all. So watch them all, subscribe, and other stuff. Thanks.